Yo, Natsu here. Back again for the next part of What If Deku Could Learn. I am sorry for yesterday for not being here to post. I was literally in no state to actually do anything. I woke up with a headache that was... Well, I have headaches every day, near constantly, but from what doctors say, I have nothing. Yesterday, mostly because of my inability to sleep during the night correctly and everything else, making me, well, compared to usual, which normally I'm still able to sleep a bit, during the entire week I wasn't able to sleep at all. So yesterday it basically culminated in me having such a headache and basically aching everywhere in my body that I forced myself to go to school after taking, well, a few things to help me with that. Nothing changed, so the moment the dinner arrived, I basically just said, fuck it, I'm going home because there's no way for me to continue. And even the teachers were like, are you sure you're okay? Nearly every time during the day. When I got home, my sister told me I was white as a sheet, so... Yeah, nah. I really didn't do anything else after that. So today I'm back. Also, don't worry about me, I'm fine. It's literally just that because of, well, me having the inability to sleep in those moments basically made me, well, pushed my body to a limit that I normally only do when I decide not to sleep for 3 days while either doing a game marathon or a series marathon. So yeah, I was basically at a point of literally my mind nearly breaking, which is bad. So yeah, for a recap, just go watch the other videos. Sorry about that one. Anyway, so basically where we left off was right after Rimuru basically made the ogres, well, faced the ogres, and basically the party started. And now we are the next morning, basically after the party. Basically, Rimuru had told to the young ogre chief that he could give, well, they could be with him. Deku hearing it, and Rimuru actually asking him if he wanted to be here as well for a while, since, well, he is looking to be trying something. And so Rimuru talked with Deku for a bit, and with Deku explaining that he wants to actually try to turn his body, just like Rimuru's, into magicules, to basically be able to do more stuff. With Rimuru saying that he can try to help him, and basically giving him a few, well, ideas on how to try and train. Basically, instead of trying to tell him, oh yeah, try to do this, he's basically just telling him to try and absorb the magic around him, since anyway, with the amount of monsters around him, there isn't a lack of magicules around, so trying to just absorb that a bit slowly, not to kill himself. With Deku, while a few other peoples were hearing in that moment, basically a few people coming closer to him, Deku just saying that, oh well, he could recover half of his body in a single day if it was ripped off, so he's going to be fine. With a few people asking wait, you're a human, but you have a regeneration skill? That's amazing. Since normally, yes, human can have skills, but they're mostly people who are either reborn in that world, or people who actually are summoned to that world. So they basically just think that it's basically that. A few people just think he was either reborn or summoned, and basically that's his main skill that he had. With Ranga and Rigurd knowing that he's also pretty freaking fast. Basically, Deku tried to do that during nearly the entire night, getting a new skill for the first time in a while that he wasn't trying to get, which was actually a skill that lets him stay awake longer with less effect on his health. This skill has a 10 level limit, which the more you raise it, the longer you can stay awake, with needing only the same amount of sleep as a normal day, up until level 8, where then you can basically stay awake about 10 days and only needing half the sleep you need normally for a single day. At level 9, it's basically 20 days with only half the sleep for a single day, and at level 10 you just basically don't need sleep anymore, without having zero effect on your health, like ever. Basically, Deku found that one, basically tried to, look at the quote-unquote description from his upgraded bracelet and saw that, oh shit, that one's good. And basically made everything he could to try and find a way to raise it faster. Which basically, it's just, oh yeah, don't sleep. Like, that one's going to raise slowly by slowly, just over time while you're awake. But the longer you stay awake while you're already sleepy, the more the, what's it called? What was the name of that? Well, what was the word? Give me a second. Can't remember. Basically, the amount of XP basically that comes from the skill. The more you're sleepy without going to sleep, the faster it raises. So basically, while you're awake during the day, it does raise because you are awake, but it doesn't raise as fast as, let's say, someone who, basically an entire day with you not being sleepy, that you actually have the ability of raising it. There's a lot of wind, the water makes a lot of sound, I'm going back. Basically, an entire day of raising it while you're not sleepy and going to sleep before you're starting to get sleepy will only raise it by so much. But if you stay, let's say someone is extremely sleepy, like on the verge of falling, but forcing himself to stay awake only for 1 hour, they'll get like 2 or 3 times more already just from that single hour. So yeah, basically Deku's just going to force himself to stay awake as long as he can, then sleep as much as he can, then do that again and again and again, basically. But yeah, the next day, the ogres get named, and at the same time that he wanted to name them, he actually wanted to try something. Basically, from Deku explaining that he was already able to kind of change his body partially with magic fuels by absorbing them, when he asked the ogre, his young chief, to basically go look for the other ogres, he also asked him to bring Deku, Izuku. He brought him, not understanding why, and basically when Rimuru told the ogres about the name, he looked at Deku and said that from how he explained his body, he also wants to try and see if he can name him. A few people thinking that this is a bad idea or that it wouldn't work. Deku telling him to not do that right now and to wait a bit. But Deku basically tries to name all of them. Basically, Rimuru, having heard a bit of Deku's story as well as his nickname Deku that was used as an insult, that Rimuru told him basically the same thing as Uraraka, that it can mean something else than what Bakugo was using it as. Basically, he named them all the same way, but naming Deku first, trying to see if it could work. And it kind of did. But not in a good way, I should say. Well, no, in a good way, but not the way they were thinking it would work. Basically, they all woke up. Well, Rimuru woke up later. Basically, Deku was training his Magicule by this point. Well, no, actually. Rimuru, if I remember correctly, was out for 3 days. Deku, after being named by Rimuru, fell as well near instantly, with his body basically for 2 days only, basically modifying itself to a huge amount. Basically having Magicule forced into him so much in that single instant, that he basically passed out from the pain without even being able to feel it. Even his own skills were basically shut down temporarily. So basically he wasn't conscious for the first time since near forever, with even his parallel minds not even being active. His body, basically every cell in his body, even the nanomachines and everything else, basically forced itself to create something new. Basically from Rimuru's, Magicules, and basically kind of copying him a bit, turned Deku's body into pure Magicules having a form. He looks exactly the same when he woke up, but already knew something was different. Basically, when Rimuru woke up, Deku was training and had actually found out what was the thing that had changed. Basically, when he had looked in his bracelet, he didn't look at it the moment he woke up, but just a bit later, he saw that his race had actually changed. It did not show human anymore. Viscous human. Well, viscous humanoid, to be precise. Basically, slime human. So he can do just like Rimuru and become a ball of slime, or have a human appearance, though compared to Rimuru, who when he turns into his human form is still basically just slime, just giving a bit more toughness. So if you cut him, it's still just slime inside of it. Rimuru, when he changed forms, actually gets those forms perfectly. Though he can turn human but still have the abilities of his slime form, and vice versa. Another thing he got is actually a weaker version of Predator. Basically because of, his body already having an extra storage space, basically a stomach exactly like Predators give Deku. Yeah, that kind of upgraded a bit and basically grew by 10 times the amount that it could place in it. Basically making it extremely big, as well as giving Deku a, unique skill from their world. Basically, it's kind of like Predator, except that instead of allowing Deku to eat something, exactly like Rimuru by using Predator, his skill, which weirdly doesn't have a name, even when he checks in his bracelet to look at his stats, it basically has, the name of the world where that is. I forgot what they named it. But basically, the skill has an arrow pointing towards it, but no name next to it. When he looks at the description, it basically just says, allows the user to eat nearly anything that can be absorbed with his either body, magicules, or whatever. So basically, as long as he's able to surround it with either his body or magicules or anything else he can use, he can pretty much absorb nearly anything. Though it does have a certain limit, which is that if something is able to resist it, either by pushing more magicules towards the outside or using something that can destroy those, or using a barrier or something, it can hold back, because compared to Rimuru, who is able to eat stuff without killing it, Deku's basically turned them into, either directly into just mass that is stored inside his stomach, or magicules that gets to fuel his body. Which, that's... people will find this really weird when he explained what he got. But still. Also, he didn't hear it for himself, since obviously people can kind of know their skills automatically when they get them, without actually hearing the voice of the world. But still, basically, when Deku called in the ogres, he also asked Benimaru to go look for, Deku, since he did name him. And they basically literally just saw Deku fall over, kind of instantly, with having his body kind of have black veins forming. They looked like black veins, but it was actually kind of more like his body literally destroying itself and then forming back. Basically the same thing as that happened with the Emerald Apple, but instead this time it's basically his cell dying, or not dying, but transforming into pure magicules, then his own body feeding the excess magicules to form new cells made perfectly of magicules, and basically reformed his entire body like that, to basically kind of form a new body perfectly. When they found him, first, Deku literally didn't change at all. Which, at first, Rimuru thought meant that it failed, but then Great Sage saying that no, it didn't fail, it actually worked a bit too well, because now Deku's magical count, true magicules, is actually closer to the ogre's, like nearly the exact same amount, which is frightening. The exact same amount as Benimaru, so the strongest of them, if we don't count the old one, but anyway, you understand what I mean. His magicules literally just skyrocketed, because first, the amount of magicules that was put in his body, and then his own body actually using everything else that was in Deku's stomach to basically transform it into more magicules, which does count the 20 hearts of the monsters, which literally had so much nanomachines in them that were all turned in pure magicules, that, his body literally fed itself so much magicules that it forcefully grew like that. If Deku didn't have anything to feed off of to make more magicules, though, all he would have gotten is his body changed a bit, and basically having his species stay human, but later, as his magicule would have grown, he would have transformed into, well, the Vishkish humanoid anyway. But because of everything, he had to basically feed his strength. Yeah, no, he literally just turned directly. Also, all of his Nen, mana, and the nanomachines he already had in his body were also turned into pure magicules, which was another reason. Because by this point, just in terms of pure magic from the magic world, Nen from Hunter x Hunter, and the nanomachines from the other world, yeah, his power could have rivaled, well, nearly have rivaled Benimaru before actually getting named. Then if you count the powers, his normal strength, his skills, yeah, now then you just get something that would have just erased Benimaru from existence nearly. But knowing Deku, he would not have gone all out anyway. If you want to tell me, oh, he's getting too strong, he's still not even half of All Might's strength in this story. Having all of that right now. And in fact, when he's going to leave the world and go back to My Hero Academia, where once he's actually going back, he's going to spend 10 months in his own world before UA without going anywhere else. Well, All Might is actually has already found, like, the day after he met Deku, he found the one he's going to give his quirk to and has started training them. So, yeah. Basically, now, when Deku meets Rimuru, he basically is the only one Rimuru remembers, though he doesn't remember the name he gave him, so Deku also has to present himself as Deku. Basically, also one thing, Deku's full name right now in his status is Izuku Midoriya, with a bar which has the named, how did I place it? True name, Izuku Midoriya. Beast name, Deku. I think that's what I had decided to put it as, or something like that. But basically, its true name is Izuku Midoriya, and his second name has something else before it. So both names are actually, his now. Also, when he's going to get a hero name, he's not going to call himself Deku. Pointing it out right now. Simply because he's actually going to, near forcefully think of something else because, just like Todoroki just chose his own name, Deku was thinking of that, thinking for Deku, but decided not to. Basically, Deku was still a nickname he was given, though in this one. Though this time, compared to him actually being given the nickname as a fault, like in the original, it was actually Bakugo giving him that name as the other sense that Uraka had told before. So Deku's name was still, his nickname was still Deku without actually being an insult this time. I think it's the best or something like that. Anyway. So, yeah, basically that was, the name he was given by Rimuru. But still, he won't take that name yet. Or, to be precise, he won't actually use that name at all in the hero course. Anyway, basically, a few things happen. The thing with the lizard men happens with Deku actually being in the picture, actually getting, well, nearly laughing at Gabiru until he basically insults a few people. Mostly when Gabiru basically talks about goblins and then says they all look weak and that they even have a human. Which is weird. Basically, Deku just kind of thinking to himself that, well, you're weird. Basically, the thing with Gupta happening, and blah blah blah, until the ninja, I forgot his name, when that's one of my favorite characters from the show, basically goes to the Lizardman's place. But Rimuru had actually asked Deku to do something as well. Basically telling Deku that, well, he got a few skills, in particular the unnamed one. One is shadow movement. And basically he had told Deku that he wanted him to just kind of take a look at what Gabiru's doing. Basically just thinking that, look, you want to test your skills, so might as well try it. If something bad happens as well, you could probably stop him in his track. So basically Deku just kind of looks around them. It wasn't Rimuru giving him an order though, it was Rimuru asking him if you want to test it, telling him if you want to test it, you could just look at him for a while seeing what he does. With Deku actually doing it, just because, yeah, it does sound like a good way of actually training in stealth. And so doing that. Though before actually doing that one, he had actually said that he wanted to test out something. With a few people asking him what it was, with Deku actually trying to, use his transformation abilities, or transformation quirks / skills, to basically see how far he can push himself. Basically doing claws on his hand, the gills on his neck, the propulsors on his back, his wings, the tail, basically everything he already had, as well as a few things he had actually gotten from Rimuru. Basically, when Rimuru gave some of his Magicules, Deku got a few things. In particular, one which is hilarious, and that they won't know for a while. Deku partially got some of the Magicules from Veldora, since literally Rimuru, when naming people, is feeding off of Veldora's Magicules, to basically give to them. And Deku actually got some of those inside of him that basically are trying to turn him into a dragon. Not a true dragon yet, but still a dragon nonetheless. Which, obviously won't happen now, because that will need a huge amount of Magicules more than what he has right now. And so, yeah. But he still does get a few things. Example, his lightning magic that he had tested for a while actually transformed into black lightning. Black thunder, I think, or black lightning, whatever. He basically got the weaker form of that, which he can actually use just normally. Basically making him extremely more powerful, as well as a few other things like shadow movement, the scale ability that Rimuru has, basically the armored scale from the Armosaurus, or whatever it's called, as well as one or two other things that basically come specifically from thing Rimuru ate. But yeah, basically he used nearly all of those near instantly for the transformation ability just to see what he could do. And basically just kind of started the type of repulsor on his back to basically launch himself as fast as he could in the air just to see how fast he could go. Basically turning his body partially in a viscous form from his slime part to actually make him more resistant to the speed he's going at. Because right now he's using everything, even his speed increase ability, which basically means that his maximum speed he was already able to go normally, which was, by this point, I think, over 800 kilometers per hour, nearly doubles when he does all of those together, and now thanks to the magicules as well. Basically just making him go way too fast. Like, he made a little wind slash when going through. Basically, like not even 2 minutes later, he came back down, basically saying that was way too much. With Rimuru just saying that, yeah, that was. Though with a few people actually being around him in amazement, because that was really amazing. Basically, then him saying that he's going to go follow Gabiru just to train his stealth now, and basically use a shadow movement to do so. Which causes two things to change, actually, for the entire story. First, Gabiru, who was basically when Gabiru was talking with the others, the clown that was going to try and change his mind into thinking that he should take the place of his father as king of the lizard men, Deku was actually seeing him approach, feeling him, and basically stopped him from doing it, actually asking him what he's doing there. Scaring the clown pretty well, with a few other things happening. Wait, no, right now Shoei doesn't actually go to the Lizardman Kingdom yet. Shoei is just basically looking around the perimeter, to be more precise. He's leaving to do that later. Anyway, Deku still goes around following Gabiru, stopping him for a while. Stopping the clown for a while, making it so that Gabiru doesn't have the idea of actually dethroning his father. So that's basically a major change that makes it so that the Lizardmen will actually wait as planned. So Gabiru also won't be exiled for the same reason, though he will still be exiled. Well, no, he won't actually be exiled, but he will still go to Rimuru's group. So yeah, basically with his sister, he's actually going to go there. But yeah, basically the clown wasn't able to actually put the idea in Gabiru. Basically messing a bit with the plan they had. But anyway, basically Deku came back before the Dryad actually showed up. Basically making Deku actually see her as well. With the Dryad actually doing the entire speech just like usual. But this time, at the same time as talking about Rimuru being extremely powerful, she also said that there was another thing that could be extremely enticing, something that arrived in the forest way after him. Basically she didn't have time to look at Deku yet, but nearly everyone did just because, they saw what he had done just before during the day, which was basically activate a huge amount of skills that let him transform, and then basically went over an entire 1,000 kilometers per hour going straight up, and didn't seem too exhausted either just after doing that. And with the Dryad trainee actually saying that his powers are also pretty interesting. Basically saying that with him not using only magicules but also other forms of energy, anything that could feel those would actually be interested in taking him anyway just to study. So if those ogres actually, not ogres, but those orcs finds out about him, they would go straight for him near instantly. Because anything that could make them more powerful would be a good idea for them to eat. Basically, Rimuru asking her how she already knows about that, with her saying that dryads know everything that happens in the forest, and that this guy, well, this boy, has, well, unique powers, and that if you don't actually count the magicules, the rest of his powers were already nearly on par with Rimuru. Kind of joking, but basically saying it in a way that, oh yeah, all of his skills, all of his powers, and the energy he exudes that isn't magicules would make him look as much as a buffet as Rimuru does. Basically making everyone understand that, oh shit, okay, yeah, that could be scary. Basically, when she leaves after, well, Rimuru accepts to end the Orc Lord, Zoe is sent to actually go talk with the Lizard Man. Later, when Gabiru comes back, he doesn't try to dethrone his father and just listens to the... listens to the plan. Though... because of the amount of orcs arriving way too fast and basically being too much, they still sent the Lizard Chief daughter to try and go warn Rimuru while they're coming, basically making kind of the same problem with her being attacked, with instead of her asking to save her brother and father, just asking if they could try and go save everyone, because right now there's too many orcs coming in. Basically, just making kind of everything happens the same. Rimuru does tell Deku to follow Zoe though, basically to go kill those guys, with Zoe leaving too fast, basically making Deku just follow the rest to go attack the army of orcs. When there, he actually tries out most of his new skills. Firstly, the Black Thunder or Black Lightning, whichever it is, which he is forced to grow himself a horn, just like the Tempest Wolves, just to be able to actually launch it. Then he tries his unnamed skill that allows him to eat stuff on one of the orcs, which is trying to fight back, which he basically turns his body in slime to actually try to do it completely, which is the first time for everyone to see this, where Deku's body is actually green, but eats basically in the same way as Predator does, eating the orc completely. Though after that he automatically transformed back into his human form and basically just continues to attack, and basically it just goes like that for a while. Also, Deku was given a sword before they actually went there, with him actually using one of the many armor set he has in his pendant. In particular, the one he's using right now has a high affinity with water, allowing him to, basically glide on water itself, making him not need to run in water, just move on top of it at extreme speed. Also, I think I said sword, but what he has right now isn't a sword. It's actually closer to a spear, made specifically using materials he had gathered in some of the other worlds that he gave Kaijin, I think his name is, basically the dwarf. And basically he asked him to, try and make him a weapon. Specifically, that spear would have 3 different elements to it, and powers from different worlds. Basically from the 3 different worlds, to be more precise. One is the scale of a water beast in the magic world, which allows him to use water magic. Basically, it's the same material that the armor he's using right now in the fight is made from. So basically, specifically for water. The other one is from the nanomachine world, and it is some pieces of the dragon that he killed. Basically allowing him not to use an element directly, but still giving him pretty good affinity with fire and stuff like that. Basically, instead of creating it itself, compared to the water one, which actually is able to create it, thanks to the piece of the dragon, he is able to control the fire around him, though, which he can either imbue around his weapon to make it more damaging, or basically launch them like they are either sword slashes made of fire, spear slashes I should say, or basically as if they were arrows. The last one is actually from Hunter x Hunter. While he was training, no, not really. Yes, training, basically before flying over the ocean, he had faced a few different things. One of which actually had the ability to use Nen to move around, Earth. Basically, he also added that. Because Kaijin didn't understand any of those things, he still tried to do something with the help of Deku, basically giving him the forging skill, because I think he doesn't have it yet, and basically allowing Deku and Kaijin to basically make a weapon that uses all 3 of those, that he can feed his own of all 3 things, or magicules themselves, from the material from this world, to basically use and control it. So controlling fire around him to attack, controlling water or creating water from the spear to basically attack, or controlling the earth around to basically help him attack once again. Or do other things as well, but yeah, you understand. So basically, Deku's just a fighter that's gliding around the battlefield using skills and just killing stuff at an extreme speed. So yeah, one thing I don't know if I said about, Deku's not afraid to kill in this one. Humans, monsters, Nomus, Shigi, whatever. Shigi into, basically saying Shigaraki. Shigi's the nickname I give him because, yeah, it's just hilarious. You said this guy who's basically like edgelord to the max, and you just call him Shigi. Just pissing him off even more. But yeah, basically he could kill Tamura without any doubt in his mind if you were to face him, but that won't happen instantly. And from what I remember, he's not supposed to actually kill him. Or I could be wrong. Anyway, basically, yeah, Deku's just forcing his way through, and before the orcs are able to eat the bodies of the Fallens, he normally tries to send, well, magicules or nanomachines or magic or nan to basically forcefully eat those things and send them into his portable stomach. Basically making it so that they cannot actually get stronger, while he sends them there or just absorbs them directly to recover the magicules he already lost. Basically, he's trying to save as much as he can, so that he doesn't have to, well, wait in his own world to recover more magicules. Even though by this point he can literally just turn anything. He could eat a rock and transform it into pure magicules, even if it's from his own world. So, yeah, he doesn't know that yet. So it is excusable that he doesn't just absorb them to get stronger right now. But he does get some skills, though. Example, some lizard men still tried to go out and fight them, so they still got the webbed feet. And Deku now has the skills of lizardsmen, as well as those. So water movement was also added to his skill list, purely without the need of the armor. Though he still uses the armor to glide above water, since it's a lot easier. Until the fight with the Orc Lord happens, which Deku stays out of this. Basically sees Rimuru eat the Orc Lord, Rimuru ending the fight, and then basically he stays with them for nearly everything after that. So the the lizardmen, the ogres, the goblins, and the orcs all talking together with Trainee, Rimuru, and Deku, who's in the corner. Which, once he wasn't in his armor, the others basically were asking why a human was there. Basically, they already knew that Rimuru had a human form, but they were still asking why there was still a human kid. Well, kid, he's 13 years old. But anyway, well, no, he looks 13 years old. No, I said 12. Anyway, I think he looks 12 years old, even though he's 14 years old, or almost 14. But yeah, basically they still ask what he's doing here. Basically, it's before anything even starts, until Rimuru asked Deku to show them his armor to basically show he was actually in the fight. Trainee was the only one, as well as the ogres and goblins, that already knew that, oh yeah, well, everyone from Rimuru's town, I should say, knew that this was, well, Deku or the guy in armor. So basically, when Deku showed off the armor, they basically understood that, oh, he was in the fight. Okay, yeah. But after that, basically everything else happened quite the same. With only one thing being talked about about Deku, which was actually a few people asking him how strong he is. With Rimuru saying that it won't actually matter too much since he won't be there all the time. Basically, the Lizardman chief asking why Deku won't be there, and basically why he won't help, with Rimuru saying that, well, that's because the only reason he was here to help was actually because I tried to name him. He became named, he gained a few powers, and was basically just giving me some help for a while he was getting used to his new strengths. He will come back from time to time, but when he's not there, he won't be forced to help. Basically making everyone accept that, and then going. Basically, the day before Rimuru names every orc, as well as some of the every orc, every goblin, every lizardman that he names, Before naming them, Deku actually says his goodbye for now, because for him, years could pass before he sees them again, while for them it could only be a few days. Which then he leaves. Basically getting back before the day even ended, because he didn't last an entire 6 months there, he only stayed for a bit. Getting back to his world, and basically for the next 10 months, once again training quirks with his magicules. Basically, since now his body is made of pure magicules and he can turn into a perfect slime, yeah, he needs to train that as well, as some of the abilities he got from magicules precisely. So, yeah, Deku's basically grown even stronger. And now we get to the entrance exam, which I'm basically going somewhere to sit right now, because I'm going to finish this part right after the city test. And I'm not going there because there's way too much wind. So Deku starts going towards the exam, well, towards UA. On the way, he actually sees a girl that's pretty stressed. He actually sees a bandage on her arm. And basically, while she's going, she actually hits something and starts to fall. Deku basically accelerating at extreme speed while someone else was close, and him catching her. Accidentally grabbing, well, closer to the chest, but not directly on it. But Deku still basically standing her up and then removing his hand as fast as possible while she was thanking him. He said he was sorry about grabbing there, with her saying that he was just trying to catch her, so it's fine. He then presented himself as Izuku Midoriya, with her presenting herself as Ochako. Her full name is... Oh god, why the fuck do I forget names so easily today? Uraraka Ochako. Okay, yeah. But yeah, basically she presents herself, and then she says that they should start going before the bell rings. Deku laughing, and then saying that yeah, they should, and he starts going. In her mind, she just said that he looked nice before going. While the other student who had actually seen Deku speed up was thinking that, oh god, he's fast. Basically, that guy was Ida. Basically, he was ready to use his speed in the exam when showing off his speed, thinking that he's going to show that he's the fastest, but he just saw Deku accelerate from 0 to, well, next to the girl who was a few meters away, instantly, and basically catched her the moment she started falling. Basically way too fast for him. So, yeah, Ida was stressed a bit, though he was not thinking, well, not stressing too much. It was just like, oh, I was really thinking my speed would be the deciding factor, but looks like it won't be. So, yeah, for the written test, yeah, Deku uses all of his parallel minds and his thought acceleration skills, and basically takes the exam in a few minutes, while every single parallel minds, who are now able to use the same ability as Rimuru to allow himself to see, so each parallel minds can actually look at each paper at the same time, basically saying each pages individually. Basically, he looked at all of them, they all started thinking about one or more questions, he all put them and raised his hand asking if he needs to wait for the others to finish or if he can go somewhere else since he just finished. The person passing the test told him that he can go, but that he shouldn't joke around with this. Deku gave the paper saying that he's not joking around, and basically went towards, the place where he can wait. The guy still just looked over the answers and saw that everything was good and was just like, what the fuck? Like, Deku went way too fast. So he waited until everyone else was there, which was a while. But for him, it was more or less just a preparation time for him to basically consume as much, things from his stomach to basically turn them into magicules, magic, nanomachines, and basically make sure that everything on him is perfectly fine. Basically, his necklace is absorbed in his body, so he can literally just make it look as if he's creating it on his own body in seconds. They explain about the robots, Ida stops them to ask about it, and then before they start again, Deku asks if it's okay if the robots disappear completely. Basically, President Mike said that it's okay to blow them up, but Deku said no, he's talking about completely dissolving them so that nothing else is left, with President Mike saying that, yeah, it's fine, they were specifically made to be destroyed, so why shouldn't he be able to do that? With Deku saying that, okay, thank you, and sitting down, finishing his presentation, and sending everyone to different cities. While they're leaving, Deku and Bakugo basically told each other that I'm going to get the most points. While Bakugo knew that he was not going to get the most points, simply from knowing that Deku is much, much too powerful. Right now, after the 10 months of training, where he actually didn't train his body at all, even though it wouldn't change a lot since the time he became fully Magicules, since now his Magicules are actually the thing that decide his pure strength, as well as his stats from the magic world, which those can still be trained physically, but it doesn't change a lot now when he just does it like that, because he doesn't get exhausted the same way. He's basically like Rimuru, made fully of Magicules, nothing else. Which is hard to train a body when you don't actually have true muscles. Just going to point out. So yeah. So they go to each of their places, and while they're actually brought there, Deku's just thinking that it would have been faster just by running there, or even just walking. Basically said it out loud accidentally, with Ida just telling him that he's not supposed to use his quirk in public anyway. With Deku saying that it wouldn't actually be using his quirk since he would just be running normally, without using one. With Ida telling him that it's not good to joke around. With Deku just telling him outright that he's not joking. Physically, he could probably go around, 1 or 2 rounds against some great heroes. Basically pointing out that he could probably fight Mount Lady easily. Basically just an example like that. With Ida just saying that he shouldn't try to fight a hero. Even less with a quirk. With Deku once again saying that wouldn't be a quirk. And basically shutting up because they are arriving. With a few people actually starting to just see Deku as someone who overestimates himself. This time, when everything's starting to happen, the person that approached someone else, basically Deku's not stressed at all, but Ochako actually comes closer to him to talk to him, with Ida not actually trying to stop anything because he's actually annoyed with Deku. Basically, she tells him thank you once again for what happened earlier, and basically said that she hopes he passes, with him asking her, do you need help getting closer to the front? With her saying that with as many people as they are, it would be impossible. With him just saying, just say the word and I can bring you there. Jokingly, she said, if you could do that, that would be cool. And then President Mike starts counting. Then she starts to get ready until she feels something around her waist. People just see a tail forming from Deku. She freaks out a bit. Deku suddenly has his armor just show up around him, which literally just looks like it's growing on him. And basically the moment it says 0, pow! Deku's in front, basically putting Uraka closer to the front in the city, like past the gates, and telling her, try your best before leaving even faster. Basically destroying a huge amount of robots on his way, and just keeping going. Ochako just kind of reacted instantly out of, she blocked for a second until she just kind of realized that, yeah, no, she should start destroying robots, and then started doing that. Deku was given a few more points just from actually helping someone else, because being at the complete back, they saw that she was actually strong. In fact, she's pretty fast as well. But because of how they see that her strength is explosive, right now what's happening is actually that Ochako, having actually trained her body beforehand since she already had a quirk, was better than Canon Deku in getting stronger. So her training passed faster with All Might. Because yes, she has one for all. So she was able to meet with, use her quirk a few times before, and was able to think, thanks to Grin Torino being brought by All Might, simply because since she had enough time for the training, he was able to call on him for help, with him telling her to reduce the amount. Basically giving him a bit more ways of thinking, making her think of reducing the amount of power and sending it all around her body so that she could actually use it. So basically how the teachers are seeing it, if she would have used her quirk to actually blast in front of everyone, she could have injured some people. Deku grabbed her and brought her in front, making it so that she can use her strength and speed without actually harming anyone. While he went further in the city to most likely do the same thing, because they basically saw him take out a spear in the same way as he did for his armor. And when he was destroying a robot, they saw a type of black smoke absorbing it and basically making it completely disappear. Basically making President Mike say that now he understands why the kid asked if it was okay for them to completely be gone. And basically, Deku just went and kept going until the 0 pointer showed up. Basically, he, at around 1 minute before the 0 pointer had arrived, so basically 8 minutes before the end of the time, he decided to go back 8 minutes after the timer started. He went back towards the entrance to actually look at other people doing and basically see if he could help a few people. When the 0 pointer showed up, Uraka didn't get hurt, But Deku saw that she was thinking of, well, actually breaking it, using his telepathy to actually read in her mind that she wanted to try and do something. Deku basically went so fast that it nearly looked like he teleported next to her and just asked, "Do you want to try to destroy that thing?" Her screaming, because that was frightening, and then just her kind of blushing and saying, "Yeah, I was thinking of doing that, but I don't know how to do it without hurting myself." Deku just saying, "Well, can you throw someone?" Her just looking at him like, "The fuck do you say?" But then just saying that, well, she can remove his weight and then throw him. Deku saying, "Great, then it's going to be a teamwork." Basically changing the armor he had on, something which is easily grabbable. And basically just told her to do it. He completely removed his armor and basically turned into his slime form. Let's just go with that one instead. Basically telling her to throw him. Basically Ida, having seen him transform, just kind of thinking, "What the hell?" Like, literally just thinking that, how many powers does he has? And basically, the teacher is looking in his, for what his quirk is, which they see he can basically go to other worlds that are created from his quirk, and that he can learn powers from other beings, so yeah, anything he does can be explained quite easily by, he found that out in another world. Basically just making them think that, oh fucking hell, he's going to just break those. Basically, Uraraka just grabbed him, asking him if it's truly okay, with Deku just saying to just do it. She reeled back and decided to push a lot more power out of her arm. Basically just thinking that she wants to aim it for the head. Basically thinking that Deku wants her to actually throw him to break the robot itself. So she's trying to do that. Deku launches above, turns back into his human form, turns his arm into the Armasaurus armor, then puts the horns of the Tempest Wolves on, the top of his wrist to basically create the Black Lightning, and basically smashes the robot straight in the face, basically pushing the head, basically throwing it away in the city. Nowhere near using his full strength, but still using quite a bit to make it look as if he's way too strong. When he got back down, he basically turned into his slime form to just kind of plug back without having any injuries. He then looked at Ochako, who had hurt her arm, basically breaking a piece of her, clothing, and Deku seeing the injuries and asking her if she's okay. Basically using some healing magic on her arm, basically just fixing it. And basically saying that this was good teamwork, and basically made a fist bump. Which she basically just kind of laughed and just fist bumped. Right now, she's just thinking, who is this guy? How strong is he? With Deku just looking around, since the time isn't over yet, and basically going around healing people, basically giving him even more hero points. Until the timer is off, but even then he continues. Ida seeing that and asking him why he acted like a dipshit, like not sugarcoating it, but literally asking him why he acted like a dipshit in the bus. With Deku saying he wasn't actually acting like a dipshit. He was just speaking the obvious. Then saying that with everything he had to go through, yeah, he's not the type to actually sugarcoat something or even try to act, well, a bit less sincere to hide the truth unless he actually needs to lie. Which, basically just saying that, yeah, no, he's made different. Like, he's built different. Which, yes, by now he is. So, basically, Recovery Girl enters the place, sees that nobody actually has any injuries, sees Deku actually healing the last person, and going to tell him that he's actually doing a good job. And then asking him if he wants to be, well, her aide when some people are actually injured. With him saying that if he gets in school, with her not even waiting a second to say you're going to get in. And then he continues, if you actually have any problems, you can try to ask me. I'd be happy to help. And then basically Deku being called to the principal's office. Recovery Girl saying that's strange. But anyway, he should go. Basically, Deku asks if he could run there because it's still quite far from school. Which she says that normally he would be asked to take the bus, but from his speed it shouldn't be a problem. Before Nezu actually says over the same intercom that asks Deku to come, that he can just run here if he wants to. Basically making Deku say that, well, he's going now, and basically speeds off towards the school. Basically reaching the principal's office, where Nezu is actually waiting for him, with 2 other teachers that are going to be in school. First one is actually Aizawa, and second one is President Mike. And he basically asks if everything is okay. Nezu asking Deku how strong he is, since he's pretty sure Deku was holding back during the test, saying that he could have destroyed the robot quite easily without the help of the girl. With Aizawa just kind of looking at him in a weird way, with Deku actually feeling a bit weird. Then Deku saying that he's pretty strong and could probably beat a few heroes already. Nezu telling him that, well, from what they saw in the documents they read, he has the power to learn others' quirks, right? With Deku saying quirks and other things from the other places I'm able to go. Basically saying that they probably also read about that part. Basically Nezu asking if he could actually show an example of what there is in some of the other worlds. With Deku actually just asking if they have a camera or something like that. Nezu basically taking one out of a desk saying, yeah, you can try with this one. Deku basically going to each of these 6 other worlds before coming back here. One having a picture of the Beastmans, one having the picture of, well, a few people as well as some of the blimps from Hunter x Hunter. From the magic world, basically the entire, well, literally where he appeared in was close to the forest where you could literally see monsters from where he was. And didn't actually take any pictures that were that relevant from the 3 other worlds, because he didn't want, well, when he went to the world of slime, basically he when he took the picture, it just looked as if it was in the same world as the first one, just further away. So they didn't really actually care about that one. And the two other ones, because Deku had never explored them, he didn't actually want to go too far. So, yeah, they basically just said that this is actually impressive and asked about what the time dilation is. Basically pointing out that it says here, basically having the papers, that when you go to those other places, the time moves differently. With Deku then saying that, except for the last one, he has spent a minimum of 4 years in totals in the other worlds he's been to. Because, yeah, he went back to the other worlds from time to time, spending time there, so obviously overtime is accumulated. So instead of actually being mentally 14, he's closer to a mental age of 18. Basically asking him if they should talk to him like he's an adult, and him basically saying that, well, he looks 12, so everyone can talk to him like a kid. He wouldn't really care by this point. Well, no, by this point he actually looks 13 now, but yeah. Anyway. Basically, Nezu tells him that he broke the record that All Might had placed when he passed the entrance exam. So, congratulations on that, you're in first place. And we wanted to actually ask you about your powers, then looking at Aizawa and saying that, and to see if you were really that powerful. Aizawa then said that his quirk allows him to block quirks, which Deku then said, oh, so that's why I couldn't use most of my things. Asking most, with Deku saying that, well, his body, actually, in particular his ability to go to other worlds, kind of seems, well, is a quirk, but seems to, when he actually wants to go, make some type of bubble around him that forces out any other living creatures or energy on him. So even if someone was trying to remove his quirk when using that one, it kind of wouldn't work. Basically, he came up with that lie on the spot just because, oh god, how do I explain this? Which Aizawa actually just looked at Deku's face and thought he wasn't lying, because Deku by this point literally has a poker face that is godly. He can literally hide any of his emotions or literally fake any other emotions at any point. So he literally was able to hide that he was lying in a way that made Aizawa think, oh shit, he's telling the truth. So, yeah. Basically, Aizawa asking him how much of his power he's actually blocking, which Deku said, anything that I learned from this world, actually. In the other places, since they don't use quirks, your power doesn't seem to actually work on me for those. Basically turning his body into slime, and saying that he can still do this. But then says that if he tries to grow, well, basically takes back his normal form, then says if he wants to try and use the quirk that allows him to make wings that he learned from this world, it doesn't work. But if he tries to create wings from his body using a skill from the last world he discovered, basically making the same pathways that Rumor has. And yeah, I'm stopping here now. Basically, after Deku's explications, they told him he can go back, but that he will still get his letter, so to wait for that. Anyway, hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. Natsu, out.